People that treat their businesses like simply just an extension of themselves, that the money is in their company, therefore it's their money. They don't understand that there is intended to be a separation of your personal affairs and your company affairs is one of the biggest reasons that we see businesses failing. It's very important to understand that your business is an asset. It is not an extension of your own pockets, and to treat it and protect it to ensure that it continues to survive and thrive so that it can provide for you and your family. Hi everyone, Liam Bailey here from O'Brien Palmer. Today I'm talking with Nathan Rigney, who's the Managing Partner of NGR Accounting. Good morning, Nate.
Hey Liam, thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure, mate. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what NGR is?
So my name's Nathan. I am an accountant, also known as the profit generator, and that's because I really am engaged about how I can actually help businesses actually generate a profit, because that's one of the main reasons why I think a lot of people go into business, and it's probably the lifeblood of what you need to actually survive. But I guess going back to probably who we are, we're an accounting practice in Caringbah, the Sutherland Shire, and we've been operating, we're in our 10th year of business.
Yeah, congratulations, mate.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So it's been a great journey, and I've got a really good team with me of senior accountants, junior accountants, and even a really good admin team as well. So we're all quite rounded in that we do, I guess, typical accounting that you sort of think about as what an accountant does, but then we also do the holistic stuff by giving clients advice, which I think is what clients really need. They need more than just, hey, here's your tax return or here's a set of accounts. It's the advice that actually helps you get from going from point A to B and actually growing.
Mate, I've seen a lot of the material online, and I know you like to focus on maximising profits and how to get the best out of your business. But today I thought it'd be on a little bit of a tangent, to that focus, and in line with what we're doing at O'Brien Palmer, it'd be really great to pick your brain and get some perspectives about the reasons the businesses actually fail instead of succeeding.
Sweet. All right. Well, let's go. Let's get into it.
Excellent.
Well, okay. So my first tip, and I actually did say to the staff at one of our team meetings, was I've got some ideas of what I think, but what are you guys seeing out there as well? And this is what we compiled together as a team. And the first one is not having an active relationship with your accountant or a business coach or a coach in general to help you and guide you to move forward.
Look, I cannot tell you enough how often we see people that come in need of some advice about potential insolvency in their business. And the first thing that we ask them is, where are your accounts? Because that's the data that we need to run an analysis. And they say, I don't really have an accountant, or I only see my accountant at tax time. So that's certainly something that would ring true with what we see on a daily basis.
Yeah, and look, I mean, just to that point, I mean, just having a great advisor, someone there to help and guide you. But I mean, you and I actually shared a call with a new client that I referred you just recently the other day for the SBR. We were talking about this, and the client said, Nathan, how come, and it actually addressed to you as well, Liam, how come I don't know any of this stuff? And she's a new client to me. She's been with us for about 6 months, and at the moment it's just really a bit of a clean-up on the way her accounts look. But I said, look, I don't think you've had the right person there to guide you and help you. They're just doing the basics of just getting the accounts done. And I think in today's business environment, you know, particularly with her, she needed more than that, because it's led her into a position where she's struggling to get all the pieces together, because she's great at what she does when it comes to a business. She's got a great skill set when it comes to delivering product. But when it comes to the mindset and all the other things that she needs, I guess like a lot of the theory behind how to run a business, she just doesn't have. So she doesn't have that guidance.
It's absolutely true. The starting proposition, it takes absolutely no educational requirements and no training to become a director of a company in Australia. But the legal obligations as a director can be quite overwhelming, knowing what your legal duties and obligations are, what your obligations are to a tax office, what your obligations are to your employees, how to get the most out of the money that you're investing in your business, how to collect debts. None of this is part of the training that anybody gets when they sign up to becoming a director. So having the right advisors to help you run the business while you're working in your business is a really great idea.
It's also looking at your business as an investment, right? It's just not there to pay you an income or a weekly wage, right? And you've got to get your mindset around that. But the reality is that where we're at here currently still, and I don't think it's going to change. I don't see how government could implement it, but you can go and get an ABN, you can go set up a company. You know what? It's hard working out something that you just don't know. So you've got to be brave enough to say, hey, I need help with this, and even probably acknowledging inside, I don't know it and I need help.
As an addendum to that, people that treat their businesses like simply just an extension of themselves, that the money is in their company, therefore it's their money, they don't understand that there is intended to be a separation of your personal affairs and your company affairs, is one of the biggest reasons that we see businesses failing, because people drag or take money out of their businesses that their businesses can't afford to lose. Next thing you know, they don't have enough money to pay their creditors and they start spiraling into an insolvency situation. So it's very important to understand that your business is an asset. It is not an extension of your own pockets, and to treat it and protect it to ensure that it continues to survive and thrive so that it can provide for you and your family.
Yeah, that's correct. All right, so I guess my number two tip. My number two tip is understanding how your accounting software works. And this is a really basic one. Now, what we generally do at NGR Accounting is, whether we're going to be doing the bookkeeping, or even if you're not, if you're going to be doing it yourself and you might get us to do the BAS, but regardless, before you start your business, and even if you are in business, if you don't understand how to use your accounting software, you're going to struggle, right? And this is the lifeblood of kind of knowing, and accounting is a theory of what's happened in the past, okay? So the first thing I would suggest, and what a lot of business owners don't do, is they don't understand how to use their accounting software. The way we do that is we actually provide training on your software. So we only use Xero, we only believe in Xero, and we think Xero is the best program. But what we do is we have our clients come in, they sit down with Sue, and they sit down with us for an hour, do some training. Come back, we might do it 2 or 3 times, maybe even 4, based on what you need to know. But ideally, the reason we do that is so that you've got the tools, you've got the knowledge and the know-how on how to actually run your software, which means that then you can get regular reconciliations done. It means that I guess, once you do those reconciliations, you know what's in your profit and loss, you know what's on your balance sheet. Maybe you don't know how to read it, but at least it gives us also the ability to sort of sit down with you and read that profit and loss with you and then explain to you what it means.
Look, I can't support that enough. So at the heart of every single one of the legal duties as a director have is knowing and understanding the financial circumstances and position of your company or the business that your company runs. You can't do that off nothing more than your bank balance or your bank statements and a general idea of when you're next getting paid by your customers. You need reliable financial data, and that means maintaining some proper management accounting software. Xero is a fantastic example of just how easy it can be to maintain up-to-date and current financial accounts because the input of data is so simple. It then provides data that can be used by your accountant to provide the necessary reports and to provide you with the advice on what needs to be happening in your business and the things that you need to be doing to ensure that you're protecting yourself by complying with your legal duties and ensuring the health of your business. So I really think that's a great idea.
100%. All right, so my third tip. That is 3 fingers there. I can count. So the third tip is, let's talk about the operator versus the business owner. Okay, so 2 very different concepts. Now, if you're just starting out in business, it's most likely that you're sitting there as the business operator. And that, what I mean by business operator, it means that you're the person that's doing all the day-to-day tasks, everything. You're doing the admin, you're answering the phone calls, you're the marketing guy, but you do everything. But at some point when your business grows, you're going to get staff coming in. And you want to start understanding the role of actually turning into more of an owner. And so that means that your responsibilities are going to change. You're going to get staff members to do certain tasks in the business. So I think it's important to understand that if you want to grow and you want your business to succeed, that there are certain tasks that you won't be doing and someone else will be responsible for. So some really simple things that you can do to sort of combat some of those issues. It could be that, hey, look, we get for your staff a position description, which basically details what is it that staff member's doing And then you concentrate as a business owner, what are your responsibilities to help you grow your business?
Yep.
But I think what happens is with a lot of business owners is they focus on the things that are not important or are not helping them grow the business, and they're neglecting the stuff that they're responsible to look after as the business owner because they're too busy on that operational side of the business. And but I think in general there's definitely a lot of business owners that are just not willing to sort of, for whatever reason, and I would sort of probably get a little bit into, we'll touch a little bit later on about psychology of, I guess, why we do what we do, but there's something holding them back. So there's no one answer, but I would suggest that what you need to look at is how do I go from the business owner, or being the business owner and actually implementing and doing all the things I should be doing to operate my business.
Yeah, look, we hear from directors all the time. People started a business with a plan to operate and run a business doing something that they love, something they cared about, something that they were passionate about, something that made them a lot of money. By the time the business grew in complexity and they ended up spending so much time on business administration and the parts of the job that come with being a director that wasn't what they were passionate about and not why they got into it, that somewhere along the way they lose their flair for it, they lose their passion for it, and it just becomes a job just like any other, oftentimes more onerous than working for somebody else. That's when they start to neglect their duties because it's not what they wanted to be in business doing, and before you know it, the business has fallen apart and collapsed. So acting like an owner, making sure that you have the right people in the right jobs that you can trust, and then allowing you to put your time and energy into the business that you created and started running, and doing that well so that it expands and grows is really some of the best advice that any business owners could take.
So I'll give you an example of that. So I've got one client we're helping at the moment, and he was just thinking about just the dues. He had a lot of staff in his business and probably was overstaffed. So he had a lot of different clients. I don't want to say what the industry is or anything like that, but what had happened was he was focusing not on the operation of the business. He wasn't thinking like a business owner. So, what happened was he wasn't sort of like, he had too much staff, and then he wasn't looking at what the staff were doing. He wasn't being a leader in the business. So what happened was not being absent as a leader meant that things were starting to actually fall apart behind the scenes, and he didn't even realize. He didn't, whether for whatever reason, subconsciously or whatever, he just didn't know, and he did not keep his eye on the ball, did not keep his eye on what was happening. And this progressively went on for 3 years. We've had turnover in 1 year for $2 million. The next year went down to 1.4, down to $800,000. And that's a massive drop in growth, right? Massive drop in fees. Clients were leaving in droves. And it's not until it got really bad that it's put to the point where it's like, oh, I can't afford to pay my creditors, my bills, my credit card, that then it's like, now it's a problem. And it's unfortunate that for a lot of business owners, they get into this trap. And I don't think they want to identify the issue that is there in front of them. They subconsciously know, but they don't want to identify the issue until it really gets really bad. And it's all there. We all subconsciously know. But it's not until, I guess, someone else comes knocking on the door, and that could have been like a creditor. Luckily, he got in touch with me and said, hey, I want to turn this around. But there was indications where it was just 3 years too late.
I think that's it's really great advice to any director, is to take off those rose-coloured glasses, the bias that you have in favour of your own business, and always be willing to look at your business critically from the perspective of an outsider, and don't be afraid to confront problems inside your business, because those are the lenses that your creditors or a liquidator is going to be looking at what happened inside your business if the business ultimately fails, and we'll be looking at it with the benefit of hindsight. So you need to be directors need to be looking at their businesses this way to prevent us from getting to the point where external administration is required.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to that client, it was the perfect storm. So we go back to those last few tips that I had. So that was all happening, plus his accounting. What do you think his accounting looked like? What do you think his zero file looked like?
I bet you he wasn't anything like up to date with his records, so he probably couldn't have even told you what the true financial position.
There was records there, but they were like a bit of a mess. it was almost like, I like describing accounting as, or I guess the accounting software is like taking a basket of clothing, right? Your clothes, you've just done the laundry, and all we're doing is we're just basically sorting out the undies here, the socks here, the t-shirts here, the shorts here, right? Really simplistically. And I guess what, if we look at, for example, his drawers were not in order. It was like one big basket of just, every drawer just had everything in it, right?
Very different to us liquidators.
But
that's a whole topic, another topic of conversation. What's the next point?
So I think we're up to number 4, aren't we?
Number 4?
Number 4.
Yeah,
number 4 was lack of systems and processes in your business.
Oh. Once again, businesses that are operating on an ad hoc basis, making things up as they go, that don't have plans, whether it be in the way that they carry out their day-to-day business, whether it be the way they manage their cash flow, whether it be their accounting systems. If you're making it up as you're going along, you don't know what you're doing and you don't know where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, it may well be that where you're actually going is into insolvency and requiring assistance. So, at all levels of your business, planning is essential.
Yeah, and look, I mean, when we talk about processes and systems, I think you've got to have that, and I'll talk about my business, right? When we were smaller, one thing that we done was we set up this program called Ignition, right? Which helps give our clients an engagement letter or a contract, because that's really important in business, is that every client that we engage, that we have a contract about the agreement, the relationship between the two parties, right? Between us and them. So we needed that, okay, and then we also needed a system to collect money, because I guess whilst we were small, it was quite easy to handle on a more manual system. But I had the foresight to see that, hey, I'm going to need a system that is built for growth, right? And so if you take that same example, I built a system, or I onboarded a system that was built for growth for later on. So it meant that I could electronically send out engagements for clients to sign, which meant that it makes it easier for them to sign, right? People need easy in today's day and age. Everyone wants easy. Who doesn't like easy, right? And then also we made it like, even like, say for example, our collections of money, we also have in our system a process where it will collect, well, we have their credit card details when they sign up, so that when we do the invoice, it just collects off their cards. Because in most cases, people have no issues in paying your bill. It's just that they don't have time to pay it, because it's just another simple little task they don't have 2 minutes to do. So we take that out of them. But once again, it's going back to a process and a system that then works. So then you think about it, like, we are meeting our obligation to have a signed contract, which is a CPA obligation, but then also we're not spending hours trying to collect money. And like, we need the turnover to come in to make all the functions of the business operate.
Another thing that you said just then was the idea about documenting the way your businesses interact with other businesses, whether they be customers or employees. I'm often surprised by the number of businesses that we are running analysis on that the relationship with their key suppliers or their major customers is based solely upon the relationship between the director and the other individuals. Now, that's fantastic when everything's going well, but the lack of documentation when things start to go wrong is when it's most critical, because you need all that in writing. So a big piece of advice that you could take from this is document the interactions between your business and key stakeholders, even if they are friends, especially if they're family. If something goes wrong, those documents become critical to protecting yourself and ensuring that you've complied with your obligations as a director.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I'm heading into number 5.
Yes, correct.
Yep.
Number 5. So having a method or a system to actually deal with your cash flow. So for a lot of business owners that are out there, they have no real system to actually manage their cash flow. And cash flow is key to any business.
From our perspective, it's at the core of your obligations to ensure that your business is trading solvently. You have to be able to pay your debts as and when they fall due. If you don't have a plan to know that you're going to have enough money to pay your debts as and when they fall due, you are not taking minimum requirement steps to comply with your legal obligations.
So what we do, or what I suggest to my clients, is we've got this system called Profit First. And let's go back to the root problem for a lot of business owners. They're great at what they do. right? They're fantastic. They didn't go out and do an accounting degree. So the reality is, for a lot of business owners, they may be able to read a profit and loss, but I can guarantee you a lot of them don't know how to read a balance sheet, and it just brings on so much anxiety.
Yeah, the idea that you're going to trade your business and it's somehow going to magically generate a profit for you is optimistic in the extreme.
Yeah. So what I actually introduce to my clients is the Profit First system. So Profit First is a behavioral system that then also changes your habits. So we're really getting into a little bit of the psychology of why we do what we do. But it's simply, I guess, what I do is, and you probably find that a lot of clients, I see sometimes some clients are already doing this. What they might actually do is they go, hey, look, I've got one account for my revenue, and I've got another bank account where I put my GST in. Right.
I wish that were the case, but it's not always so.
Not always the case.
Yeah.
But there are some that do it. But we're going to expand that so much more. So we're going to basically set up a system that addresses your habits and why you do what you do, and try to bring in a system that's going to break that, so that you don't get back into that same pattern of spending money that that should be allocated to different various things in the business. So if we look at all the cash that came in the business, cash comes in, cash goes out.
If I understand the system, it's ultimately determining how much profit your business needs to make for you, and working backwards from there to ensure that your income and expenses allow you to get to that point.
Yeah, so what we're doing in Profit First is that we actually put profit first.
I think thinking like that's really important. The number of conversations that I have with people when they get to the point of needing external advice, they've said, no matter what we've done, we haven't been able to actually take any money out of the business for our lives to pay our living expenses and for months or years. And I often think to myself, if that's the case, why do you want to turn this business around if it's not actually generating any money for you? You're putting all your time and energy into it and it's not paying off for you. Isn't there something that you could probably be doing that would be generating better outcomes for you? So if your business is not geared towards making profit, why are you doing it?
If we look at profit, what actually makes profit? So there's a few things, right? It could be, say for example, that the business owner is undercharging, and that gets into a whole new why. Why is it undercharging? And sometimes what I would suggest, if they've got a blockage as to why they don't want to charge more for what their service is, maybe they need to see a business coach to help them unblock whatever's stopping them from charging what they're worth.
Absolutely. Tying back into your earlier point, if your business is not making a profit, then getting the right advice on the changes that need to be made inside your business is critical to prevent your business from failing.
Yeah. So then the next thing as well is like having a look at the expenses. Why do we spend what we spend on? So one of the core principles is what we call Parkinson's theory. So Parkinson's theory is basically looking at the resources that we have. So the problem is with what we do in our businesses, we tend to have all our resources in one pot, so like one bank account. And so the problem is that when you have unlimited resources, you will think like that all that cash is in unlimited there, you'll spend whatever. So what happens is, if you have all cash in one bank account, you get excited by the shiny objects that you probably really cannot afford. But in Profit First, what we do is we create essentially a system where we're going to break cash up into different accounts. So we're going to look at saying, well, hey, your business to run successfully, for its overhead expenses, should be only running at, say, for example, 40% of your revenue. So when we start parking that 40% of cash in another bank account, then you're going to have a look and going, well, I can only take the cash out of that bank account for my expenses.
Prevents you from spending cash
so
that you don't really have.
Essentially what I'm providing to my clients is a system where they know what's in front of them. And the problem is that reading your accounting software, a lot of clients don't get that. But seeing what's in front of them, we're just setting up a system where they can have a look at what's there.
Nathan, if business owners were to adopt the mindset of the points that we've discussed today, they're going a very long way to not only complying with their obligations as directors, but also to operating a profitable business and one that they actually enjoy working in. So why don't we just quickly go over what those 5 points are again?
So our first one is having an active relationship with your accountant or another business advisor, like a business coach. The second one is get to know how your accounting software works, which means that you're going to also then be able to get good financial records and be able to make better decisions. Our third one is business owners failing to understand the difference between being an operator and acting like a business owner. Our fourth was lack of systems and processes within a business. And finally, our fifth one, dealing with cash flow, implementing a system like Profit First to help see what is in the business.
Nathan, I really want to say thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us this morning. Anything last words for our viewers?
Look, I hope that whatever I've said today, you've taken at least one thing away. And I guess what's important is it's about what you do next.
I cannot recommend that you take the time to know where your business is up to and what's going on in it. And just remember, if you are having any problems inside your business, don't hesitate to get in contact with O'Brien Palmer for a no fee, no obligation assessment of your company's circumstances and the options available for you that might find that business turnaround is an opportunity. Nathan, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Cheers.
We start. Can we just do number 5 again?
Yeah.
Because I'm going. This is going.
You're explaining a concept, so let's make sure you get that right.
Okay, let's go. All right, so we'll
Start from the top.
You start from the top. So number 5 would be. Let's do that again.
1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
Jesus.
That's kind of wiggly.
A little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's.
It's a good blue.